This part of the story is so annoying. Let's see. These abilities come naturally to me, like breathing does to you. If you are truly awakened, you should instinctively know what to do. The hybrid closed his eyes and took in a deep breath, channeling his inner thoughts onto a single question. How do I fly the ship outside? What feeling he once had in his fingers faded. Their warmth was replaced by a bone-chilling coldness, a chill that soon turned to numbness. The sensation drifted up from his fingertips and into his hand, before shooting up his entire arm, up his neck, and into the back of his head. Gakido's entire body convulsed as the coldness clambered his skull. He wanted to cry out, to open his eyes, but his muscles had seized. So in this moment, Gakido actually experiences his corrupted one spirit actually taking control for a moment, and because corrupted ones are technically dead, they're just the souls of the feels. Gakido has in a sense felt what it is like to be dead, because his entire body just stops responding to him and he goes numb and cold. And later on in the segment, after he extracts the information from the Axion, he starts to realize he is losing the ability to feel certain feelings, which plays well for what Barkar wanted to do with him, but for Gakido himself and for everyone that is, a loved one of his, this is the moment where he actually would be classed as dead. Because this is the turning point. Later on in the story, when certain decisions come into play, that anyone with the capacity to feel empathy, like Gakido used to do, they have nothing but numbness. It's like I have in the little snippet. I like to plan certain things out, so like in this snippet, he felt an odd sensation in his chest. It was unlike anything he had felt before. There was no pain, nor discomfort. He felt nothing but absolute emptiness. So during a certain scenario which involves one of the previous characters from his life, so someone who helped actually raise him, he interrogates her and tortures her, and basically she accuses him of just being a malevolent monster, as usual, but he doesn't feel anger towards it anymore. So it's like he goes from reacting to certain scenarios with rage or disgust or sadness even, to feeling absolutely nothing. And when that happens to anyone, they become a psychopath. And when it happens to Amaru, they end up being ostracized from the rest of their society because they are very emotional beings. So to be emotionless is seen as dangerous. But with Gakido being a hybrid, a mixture of both human and Maru, the lack of any form of empathy and feeling is catastrophic, especially with his belief systems, because he actually enforces a lot of his belief systems in the earlier books, and he gets people who side with those beliefs, and they believed him and follow those beliefs because he was actually emotional, he had a lot of passion behind them. And then when he turns into this soulless husk, in a way, the people that followed him continue to do so, because they think he's just channeling this to make sure the deed that he's been planning gets done. So that's why it's particularly dangerous, because he goes from this character that is just wanting to out the Federation for what they did and change the way the Federation runs, to wanting to see it and its members completely destroyed, because the empathy's gone and all that's left is the logic, and logic dictates that, to him at least, the Federation can't be trusted, the Federation refuses to change, and therefore it should be destroyed, and those that endorse it should be destroyed, even if they have, reasons behind why they should keep the Federation, why they should just try and adhere to the status quo. Even if their logical reasoning is sound, the Gakido that would have been there to debate is long gone. He's just this vessel now, and whilst he does still have personality, he just lacks the ability to feel anything, because in the instant that he became awakened, he died, and his soul has become detached from his heart, which is why the whole thing with the Heart of the Feels is that this little stone that warded off evil spirits was also there to cleanse those who had been tainted by corrupted ones. And because of what the Federation did to tamper with the stone to control corrupted ones, it corrupted its purpose. And therefore, because of certain conditions that Gakido had in the past, and being a rather unique specimen, the corrupted soul that he would have produced in actual death just awakened, and just took over him, basically. He is that corrupted one. It's just the soul of Amaru is its feelings, its raw essence, its raw being, and by detaching from the vessel, Gakido can't feel anything, because that soul isn't in the heart anymore. So yeah, it's a very complicated thing to explain. I've been thinking about this for a very long time. I've changed so many parts of this, but this is one of the reasons it's become very difficult to write, because unfortunately my feline friend, who used to keep me company when I wrote, passed away about 5 months ago, and it was at this critical point in the writing process where I had to make a few subtle changes to how the Heart of the Field Stone would react with Gakido when it was used, because in the original part of the story, that interaction would have just separated Barkar from him. They would have had a squabble about it. He would have used the Heart of the Fields to further control feral corrupted ones, and it just didn't feel right to just keep it that way. Especially after my feline companion died, she didn't quite seem to stay in the room with me whenever I started reading those notes to her, because she used to like staying in the room with me whenever I wrote and whenever I read aloud. But for that particular part of the story, she didn't seem to want to stick around. So yeah, I changed it. But unfortunately, I changed it after she passed away. So I can't get any feedback from her whether or not it's worth sticking around and listening to me read it. So yeah, I thought I'd try something a little bit different today with this video, because I usually just do the 3D modelling stuff and I type up a bunch of stuff about the books and say, oh, this bit amount of progress has been done, but no progress on this has been done. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna read a segment that I've written recently and talk about the thought process and what this means for the story, a bit like I would have done with my departed feline friend, and see how it turns out. And I mean, yeah, you can see there's loads of notes here. This is all full of spoilers, but it's you know, if you are interested in reading it, the first 2 books are for sale. I have put the prequel in with the first book, so now it's just 2 books. And in all honesty, you don't really have to read those 2 to read this one. I summarise everything up at the start of every book, so you know, it's like a recap. So yeah, you don't have to read those 2 to read this one, but this one is already overdue. It was supposed to be done a month ago, but because of certain circumstances it's been significantly delayed, and I don't see it getting done until, well, you know, the first draft at least. I don't see the first draft getting done until the end of August at the earliest. But we'll see how things go. I'm having some good days with the writing, but most of the time it's not going very well. But yeah, I hope it was interesting at least, and I will return to doing some Minecraft videos once I've made a bit more progress on the server. And if this does interest you, please feel free to leave a comment and I will try and do some more like this. Or at least do a stream, maybe. We can write some of this book together, because I've been finding it very hard to finish. So anyway, that'll do. Ta-ra.